welcome to our program. This evening, our program comes to you under ChildLink's Child Rights Alliance initiative and is funded by the delegation of the European Union to Guyana. Tonight, I have in studio with me three phenomenal young women who will be giving their insight on child sexual abuse. In 2018, ChildLink will have launched its Cries in the Dark Child Sexual Abuse in Guyana Today, which places some focus on the cases that were dealt with at ChildLink's CAC. So, like I mentioned, I have three phenomenal mothers in studio with me to give their insights. And before I go any further, I'll have them introduce themselves.
Hi, returning here. My name is Tanison. My biggest heading is that I'm a mom. Yes. I'm a parent. That's my broad line. I'm also part of an amazing organization, it's Young Pioneers, where I stand as the coordinator for Region 3 and 4. Yeah.
Yes. I'm Unika Griffith. I'm a mom of 4 amazing children. I'm also a nurse, and I'm also a part of this beautiful organization Tanison was speaking about.
Yes, Nirmala.
Hi, I'm Nirmala. Nirmala Ramswak, I'm a mother of 3, and I'm also part of the organization called Young Pioneers. I'm the head pioneers currently for the Region 4 district, assisting the East Bank, West Coast, MR area as well.
Okay, so we have three very active young women who are mothers. What I aspire to be one day,
It's a good thing.
And they're also making an impact and making a change and working to create a safe Guyanese society for children. Like I mentioned earlier, we will be discussing child sexual abuse. We know that's an epidemic that's been plaguing our society, and it's so sad that children are left to face, it's so sad that children are faced with these issues. And it's very heartbreaking to see the trauma that it caused and the fact that it alters their life forever, their livelihood, and they even take some of these scars into adulthood. So before I start rambling off, because there's so many things that you want to say, let me ask, from your perspective, what is child sexual abuse?
Well, I call it a little monster because it doesn't have a face, it doesn't have an age, but it's basically when someone manipulates, force, or groom a child into sexual activities, and it can be a relative, a friend, it can be anyone. Yeah, putting that, like, playing on that child to do sexual favors. It can be and when sexual abuse doesn't necessarily has to be the penetration part, it can also be touching in your parts or places of your body that they're not supposed to even be looking at or touching. So I call it a little monster because it does so many damage.
Okay, well, in my own description, I would say child sexual abuse is totally something that would ruin a child's life, like their entire life, even if they have been experienced or been through that phase as a child. It leaves behind the trauma there. Eventually, if you become an adult, it's still there. Child sexual abuse to me is any type of sexual penetration by an adult to a child that forces a child or say words or by looking or touching or any sorts of words verbally spoken in a sort of way to disrespect a child. I think it's one of the Guyana top issue because of the number of stories and rape stories, especially for, that has been happening, that I've been recently seeing circulating on Facebook, social media wise.
Yes. Well, according to the report, child sexual abuse was defined as involving in any sexual activity with a child, and it comes in two forms: contact or non-contact.
Yeah.
So it can be a look. It can be, I take it as far as saying it can be a thought. It can be a touch. It can be exposure to pornographic images. It can be grooming that child into the abuse. And we will touch a bit more on grooming as we go further into the discussion. But I want to ask, mothers, mothers call themselves cubs. I don't know why I always identify as a we. I don't know why I always do that.
Because you have the touch already.
Yes, so we often say that, if something happened to me, child, I don't know what I would do. But I'm just going to call it touched, right? If you hear or if you heard that your child was touched, what would you do?
Wow, as a mother, that would throw me in a trance. I would be very emotional about it. I want to lash out at that person who was done committed the act or so, but as a mother who's educated on this topic and have read and made myself aware of certain things, how to deal with that situation, if I have heard that my child has been touched, first of all let her know it's not her fault for what has happened to her. Then I'll ask her questions. Like I won't ask like what she was wearing or what, but how did this happen and how did you feel? Make her understand that she is the victim, and it's basically not her fault for what has happened, and we can work to this. And I'm gonna believe, and I believe you. Yeah, I believe what you're saying. There's no doubt. I'm not doubting or thinking you lie. That I believe you, and that's the first thing we have to let our kids know, that we believe what they say, and that's gonna help us. Because if we put doubt in that child, sometimes that touch moves to action, and that child will be so afraid to come and tell you because the first thing you've doubted her, him or her, you've put that fear that if you are lying and I'm gonna beat you, or because some parents they don't want to acknowledge that this thing happened to that child. So the first thing you need to do is believe, and I will believe my child.
So, Monica, what would you do, or how would you react to the news that your child was touched?
First, that's something you don't ever want to happen to your child. As a parent, you don't even carry your thinking that far. Like, what if somebody touched my child, or what if somebody penetrate my child? That's danger zone. So, as Stan said, yes, you have to believe your child, right? Because you don't want to scare them off or make them not come to you again to say anything. So you have to believe. I know in our society, like older days, if something like that happened, they would say, it's your fault, or you're lying, or that never happened. Or even if they are aware that it happened, they try to like hide it or whatever. So for me, I have this perception that if anything like that should happen, I would believe my child, right? You don't want to scare the child. So what I would do, I really don't, I don't, I don't know what
And I
I would do.
understand.
I
I
don't want to
understand.
think about what I will do.
Yes,
I understand.
I understand, and that's honest because a lot of times you don't think of or you don't prepare yourself for the news that, mommy, somebody touched me, or someone did this to me. So it's hard to say. You know for a fact that you would be hurt. You'll be hurt. You know for a fact, but you can't say this is how I would react in that moment. So how would you, Normala? How would you react, or what would you do?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that parents these days, from what I know, they need to believe their child when it comes to you. The first thing you need to do is don't doubt your child. Just believe them, listen to them, give them a chance to speak. These days, from my knowing, I know a lot of parents tell their child, "Oh, you say this, and the uncle can get jail, or auntie can get jail, or it's not true, or don't tell anybody about it because of the situation that can happen, or they can beat the child, or something," as Stan said and Onika. I think parents need to first start taking their child seriously and not putting their pleasure and their wants in front, and their pride, should I say, because it's not all about you yourself, it's about the child. And I mean, a child is someone innocent, and first of all, what a child look onto is the parents to teach them at first. I believe that parents need to start teaching the child the writing at home. If you can't sit with your child would never be comfortable to come and actually open up to you. So what I would do is that, of course, I would be totally freaked out. But then again, on the other hand, I can't act out because, to move and do it in a smart way, I would go quietly to the police or whatever be the case is and make a report against that person, because I believe if I raise an alarm, you don't know what the situation will be.
What will come out of it?
Yeah, like Nirmala is saying, sometimes when parents get these kind of news, they act out and they lash out, and that child would love, let me say, that child love their parents so much, and that child won't want to see that parent hurting. So some kids would tend to keep back these kind of information
back
from their
details
parents,
of the ordeal.
because they don't want, or sometimes they get scared, like, mommy, I'm just joking. It's just
Yeah.
a joke. Or it's just something I see on TV and I want to know how you're going to react. But literally, this thing actually happened to that child. So as parents, we really have to be careful how we handle these situations.
Especially if you're living with a stepfather or a stepmother and a child come to you, the mother would quickly jump to say that you're lying and you just want attention and you just want me and the guy to separate, or me and she to separate, or whatever. Because not only men sexual abuse children, women do so as well.
Yes, and we will get to that. We will get to that. But I like the fact that you guys mentioned believing your children. Because a lot of times, you see, when children open up or report sexual abuse, it's very hard. Remember, their private space would have been violated. Someone intruded, someone touched me in ways that I was not supposed to be touched. So there is trauma in that. Then me having to come to sit and have a conversation with an adult, might be a mother, a father, an aunt, an uncle, it can be traumatic. It can, you can have some kind of doubt, and then questioning what that child said can only push them further. So something that we often advise in our CAC at ChildLinK, and something that's often advised, is to believe that child. Let the investigation make a report. Let the investigation be carried out and determine whether this happened or not. And a lot of times when child sexual abuse is reported, it's not necessarily the day or a few minutes or hours after the act was actually carried out, but as a matter of fact, it can go as long as, or as far as 3 months, 4 months, something that this child would have bottled up and is now gaining the courage to talk about. And I also like that you mentioned, Tanison, that you thank them. You say, you know what? Thanks for telling mommy. Thank you for opening and telling me that this is what happened to you. Now mommy is going to take the necessary steps to ensure that you were given the right help. And it's also very important for us to have relationship with children. And while this question might be a bit personal, I'd like to ask each and every one of you, do you have a relationship with your children?
Yes, I do. I have 2 girls. One is in the adolescent stage and one is still the baby cub. But yes, we do. It may be rocky sometimes because no relationship is good.
Yes.
And I always think if a relationship is going too good, you need to check some corners to see what
too good
is
to be
hitting.
true.
It's too good to be true. But I do.
How
Yes,
about
I do.
you, Nika?
Yes, I do have a relationship with my kids, but it's challenging, especially now in this era we live in. I have a teenage daughter. She's 14, and then the next one is 11. And the teenage one, she gives me a lot of trouble, but we do have a relationship, and I do believe that if something should happen, they would open up to me.
How about you, Normal?
Well, for me, yes, I do, because as of now, I have small kids. My eldest child is 6, my second child is 5, and my last child is 1. For me, like, I would always say the stage to start with your child is from small, as early as they can start learning. You teach them to let them understand and know that it's okay to come and speak to you. First of all, you have to be a parent that they would love. I mean, some parents would be angry and aggressive all the time, and some kids might even be scared of them. And one thing you need to do is to be calm and loving to your child and show them the respect. But yeah, I believe. I also think that in order for a child to be comfortable, to be able to open up to their parents, is for parents to respect their relationship that they have around the children, especially when it comes to, even if you're a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or just a guy and a woman living at home, you have a child around, respect your privacy, because whatever a child would see from a small age, they would tend to take it in, and it would leave, and they would want to practice the same thing at home or anywhere they go.
I often say children look, they learn, and they experiment.
They're
They
curious.
mirror our actions. They become curious. They want to know, what is this? Why is she hiding? And the more forbidden or taboo something is, the more appealing it is, because they want to know, why are they hiding? Why am I not in? Why am I not in this? I'm a part of this family. So my next question I'm going to throw to you will be, Do you think that your relationship with children will affect whether they report child sexual abuse? Let me ask Anika first. Do you think the relationship with your children will affect whether they report child sexual abuse or not?
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
I think we have a pretty good relationship that if such should occur, they would come to me. I don't think so.
How about you, Tanis?
Well, my daughter, yes, she would come to me. Yeah, we have a good relationship. She would come, but looking at today's world, you don't know after that act of being committed what that trauma would be towards that child. So you don't know if that child is going to be so scared because of the person who committed that act.
Mm-hmm.
Could be someone that that child didn't expect to do it.
Yeah.
Could be the father and the relationship that they have in their home and stuff. That child might think, oh, mommy always believing, like sometime in the past something occurred and mommy believed daddy, so that child would think they got a prospect that, oh, mommy won't believe me what I would say. So I mean, on a parent's view, these things do happen,
Yeah.
right? So yes, my daughter would come to me, but honestly, I won't want that to happen to her. But if it do happen, as a parent, like, you don't know what to expect, but you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for the unexpected at times, because I could be sitting here and say, yes, my daughter's gonna come to me because of the relationship that we have. But God forbid this ever happens to her. I don't know what the trauma would be like to her.
Yeah.
What would she be feeling at that time? Sometimes she might want to come to me, but something crazy is happening in the family. I would say something, disappointing is happening, and she would think, oh, to me to put a disappointingness on my mom, more burden to my mom. So it all depends on the trauma that child faced and the timings also. Because, like I said, I can be sitting here and say, yes, my daughter's gonna come to me, but I don't know when that time comes, how would she feel?
Okay.
That's my honesty on it.
Okay. How about you, Namala?
Yes, I believe that my child will come to me and tell me, because they do tell me every single thing, even though I'm not at home. What happens, they do. Yes, they will tell me, but what I also believe in first, before, in order for that to happen, is that you need to believe your child, love and respect them.
Yeah.
You have to let the child be comfortable.
And a lot of times, although parents might have good relationships with children, and this is something that you would have mentioned, it's important, it's fundamental that you maintain and have a good relationship and communication with your children. But it still doesn't guarantee whether a child will open up directly to you, because he or she might open up to a peer.
Yeah.
Who might then relate the information to you. But as a parent, it's still in your role and your responsibility to use this information. Thank that child. Tell that child, thank you for talking about it. Now I'm going to help you. And you report it and move after that. And why we keep stressing that parents rather report child sexual abuse is because it can save a lot of trauma for the family and for that child. It can save them let's say a father acts out or a mother acts out and maybe go to the perpetrator and acted violently, ends up in prison.
Yeah.
Then that child is still exposed. That's double trauma. And we also foster reporting it, because reporting child sexual abuse, that is, because we often say that when child sexual abuse is reported, it gives that child the necessary support that they need. Where there'll be, it goes through the CPA, possibly comes to ChildLinK or goes to Blossom Inc., and that child is given support, trauma support that child is given, and that way that child will be able to cope with the stress and the shift in their thoughts, and their mental the shift in their thoughts and their mental makeups. You understand? So it's important that you report child sexual abuse, not only the children, but it might be you report it to a parent, and you see a parent is not doing anything. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're someone in the community. We all have a duty to report, because we all play a role in creating a safe Guyanese society for children to grow up in. And a question that we often ask, and this will, go into who the perpetrators are, who are more likely victims of child sexual abuse. A question we often ask is, how can parents protect children from child sexual abuse?
The first thing they need to do is educate their kids. Let them know that this is out there, that these things do happen. Let them be aware of their surroundings when they go out. To always keep in contact with someone. If you know, sometimes kids go hang out. You always let someone know where you are. You always move. If you live in a group, you maintain in that group. Because some kids, they go out and then, oh, a next friend's like, let's go here and hang. And they would go, and you never know what they're exposed to. So edifying our kids is the main thing. Let them know what sexual abuse is, how it can happen, the effect, the trauma, every single thing. Do not, society today tends to hide things from kids, thinking, oh, they're too small. They can understand what it is. But if we let them know, they can analyze. Children are smart. They analyze things very fast. And letting them know is the best thing. As a parent, you need to have talks. Long ago, when I was growing up, I'm 33, I had no knowledge what sexual abuse was. No knowledge what domestic violence was. None of these topics. You just heard it and it was kicked under the rug. But I think if kids were aware and parents too were edifying this, the numbers would have declined. And it's not too late. We need to let our kids know what child sexual abuse is, and anybody doesn't have a face. Anybody can do this to you.
Yes,
Anyone.
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
Yes, I would like to echo Tan. Education. I believe that having your child understand what child sexual abuse is, how it can happen, is not like you telling this child to look out for this thing, but just having them know that it's really out there and how they can recognize it. That will make a difference in their life, or a difference if it occurred to them. So I believe that education is the way to go.
Okay, how about you now, Mala?
I would like to echo both of them on education as well.
Yes.
But my biggest part is to not leave your child with anybody. In society these days, you can't trust anybody. And for me, if I have to go somewhere, if I have to run somewhere urgent, I would take my children. If I can't take them, it's either I would keep them, I would stay at home, or their father will take time off from work, and he would look at them. Because if you do look about the places these days, there's no one that you can trust with your child, because they tend to take advantage of the situation. The thing is, even though they feel that that's their uncle or their aunt or someone close or a cousin or relative of yours, it's okay. It's not okay, but until a child actually speaks out, then you actually know that you can't trust your relatives.
Yeah, it's true, because you know, and a lot of time parents are placed in positions where they don't have anything else. You know, this is the only way out. So I have to work. I have to provide a basic need. So I'll leave my child with a grandmother. I'll leave my child with an uncle, an aunt. You know, maybe with his or with their father, who might have someone around. Maybe the parents are not together anymore. So I admire the fact that all three of you said education, because education is the key.
Yeah.
Education is where you let your child know this is an appropriate touch, this is an inappropriate touch. No one should touch you in this way. Man, woman, boy, girl. No one should touch you in this way. But something that we also want to do is be, to some extent, inquisitive. You know? And I mean, inquisitive might sound a bit drilling, but be aware. Listen to the conversations that your children are having. Communication. Have conversations with your children, so you will know the kind of conversations that they're engaging in, the things that they're exposed to, and what they discuss in school with their friends. I recently saw a very disturbing video on Facebook of two what appeared to be nursery school children kissing behind the school.
Yes,
And
I
it was
saw
very
that.
troubling, because the first thing that came to me initially was, what was this child exposed to? Is this child just demonstrating or reenacting something that he or she saw on television? Because what it looked like was that it appears as if they were really having an adult kiss, French kissing,
Yeah.
you know, what they call it. So I was wondering, like, what's happening here? What are these children exposed to? You know? And if as parents we can have conversations with our children while educating them, because education will set the foundation to know, well, mommy told me about this. This is filtered information on what this is. And I have some knowledge now on what child sexual abuse is, what a good touch is, what inappropriate touch is, what an appropriate touch is. So now that I have this information, I can have conversation with my friends, because some children will go into school to have conversations with their friends, and that way you can say, okay, so what did you tell your friends today? So it's important as parents that you communicate, you educate, and you also monitor your children. Listen to the little things they'll say. I don't want to go by auntie. I don't want to go by uncle. Why? Maybe something is happening, because I believe the children were naturally born with a trust, that they trust most people and everyone. So you have to violate that in some way for that child to not want to be with you. And we will have other programs in which we will discuss the said topic, child sexual abuse. But this is all of the time that we have for now. But I just want you to remember that we all have a duty to report. If you see a child acting out in certain ways, look at that child, observe, maybe ask a question, and lend a helping hand. If you want to anonymously report child abuse or child sexual abuse, you can contact Child Care and Protection Agency hotline number, and that is 227-0979. You can contact the Child Care and Protection Agency hotline number 227-0979, or you can call ChildLinK on 233-3500. Right, so remember, we all have a duty to report. Thanks for staying tuned. Thank you, ladies, for coming on the program this evening with me, and I look forward to having more discussions with you.
Yes, we will return. Thanks for having us.
Okay, until next time, I'm your host, Chiquita Thomas.